Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this meeting on the 29th of January of the Perth Common Good Fund Committee. Do we have any apologies?
Yes, convener, we have a registered apology from Councillor Lang. Councillors Massey, Drysdale and Donaldson haven't submitted apologies, but are not in the meeting as yet.
Okay, thank you. Moving now to declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest? Councillor Rebek.
Sorry, as a board member of Lytham for All, I do have an interest in the relevant paper.
And Councillor Chan.
6.1 Perth Chinese Association.
Thank you. And Councillor McCall.
Likewise to Councillor Rebek, I'm a trustee of Lytham for All and on their board.
Thank you. And similarly, I declare an interest in respect of the ESOL item under grants, and I will hand over the meeting for Councillor Rebek to chair that portion of it. Thank you. Moving on now to paper 3, the minutes of the last meeting. Are there any matters arising from those minutes, or can we accept those minutes? Agreed. Thank you. Moving on now then to applications for financial assistance. The first matter that we come to is the St John's Kirk Carillon. As members will know, there is a standing amount of £2,000 per annum set aside to assist with St John's Kirk Carillon performances, but the Kirk have to apply for the money. It's not automatically released to them. I'm happy to, recommend that we grant the £2,000 that is set aside. Are members happy in that respect? Agreed. Thank you very much. Moving on now to the Perth Chinese Association. A grant of £2,236 has been requested by the Perth Chinese Association. The grant is for part of their annual event to share their annual Chinese cultural celebration with residents in Perth and Kinross on Sunday, the 11th of February 2024. They've received money in the past for this. This is, I think, part of our annual cycle of events in the city of Perth, and I am happy to recommend that we approve the grant of £2,240 that they are looking for. Are members happy to do that also? Agreed. Thank you. Moving on now to the item 6.5, the Perth Flower Club. A grant of £350 has been requested from Perth Flower Club. The grant will assist the group in hiring a coach to take their members to Tom Nahar Gardens at Comrie Croft. I know that a grant of £180 is consistent with our guideline criteria at 9.6, but I'm also conscious that we can make an award of up to £10 per person, and I am going to ask committee if on this occasion, since I'm not aware that the Perth Flower Club have not received any common good funding in the last 3 years, would members be happy to make a grant of £300 to the Perth Flower Club on this occasion? Councillor Ahern has a question.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to say the same thing. I just wondered, did they've asked for 180, which I'm assuming is the 50%. That's 50% of the whole total. Are the group aware that they can only apply for funding for Perth residents and not the 5 that are out there? Assuming that's why they put 350 and it's £10 a head. But I'm happy to go ahead and second the proposal from the convener. But I just wonder if we could let them know in the future if they've got people outside not to apply for that.
Yes, that I'm sure has been discussed with officers, and that's why, if you like, it says in the narrative that 30 people from the common area, good aerial benefits, but they will also have 5 people from elsewhere in Perth and Kinross involved. Okay, thank you. Are we happy then to agree that we make a grant of £300 on this occasion? Agreed. Thank you. We now move to the item on Perth Festival of the Arts. A grant of £1,981 has been requested by Perth Festival of the Arts. The grant will support the staging of a new series of the festival's Community Stages project held on the Saturdays of the 25th of May and the 1st of June. I am happy to recommend that we make that grant of £1,990. This appears to me to be a worthwhile community project in line with, if you like, the other activities of the Perth Festival of the Arts. Are members happy to agree a grant of £1,990? Okay, thank you. Sorry, Councillor McCall, you have a question?
Just a point of clarification, convener, please. The funding request was 1981, and I just wondered why it was rounded up to 1990. Just seemed a bit odd.
I believe that was a request from the finance team a while ago to make sure that awards were rounded up to the nearest £10 for accounting purposes.
Thank you for that point of clarification. Bizarre, but nevertheless, thank you.
I'm quite happy to go with it to the nearest £10. It's it seems perfectly reasonable to me. But yes, it's I suppose it just makes the sums easier. Councillor Henry, you have a question here, or that's an earlier question? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay, we are happy to then to go with the grant of £1,990. Agreed. Thank you. I will now hand over to Councillor Rebeck for the next piece, the next item.
Thank you, convener. The next item is indeed a request from East Perth for a grant of £600 for guitar lessons. I note that the total money required is £1,500. It feels reasonable to me that therefore the request of £600 is appropriate, unless anybody has any questions or queries on that. Can we agree £600? Thank you very much. My feeling of importance has been short-lived. Thank you.
Just to let committee know that the LAP funding award for this, for the East of Perth application was 325 into the 300, but that doesn't affect the 600 that has been requested, if you're happy with that.
Thank you, Jacob. Are we all content with that?
Sorry, we should reduce what we're giving because they've got 325 from the LAP. Their total costs are 1,500. If we give them 6, they only need 575 now, I think.
Thank you, Councillor Barrett. I think your arithmetic's right, actually. So, and given that it's 25 quid, I think you're probably right. And so therefore, with Jacob.
I'll come in on that one. The LAP funding was exclusively for the guitars, which were valued at 325 at the time of the LAP application, which has increased the total costs to 1,525.
So therefore, £600 is appropriate.
Correct.
Yeah, just confirm 600.
Are we content, therefore, with £600, in fact? Thank you. Thanks, Jacob.
Thanks very much, Councillor Rebeck. John, thanks. We move now to the cost of living grant. We've received a request from Councillor Bailey Hearn. You have a question? Okay. We proceed now to the cost of living grant request that we've received from Letham for All. Letham for All have requested a grant of £15,000 to assist them in continuing to operate their PayPoint voucher distribution, as well as the purchase and distribution of Perth cards. This continues their cash first approach, supporting people through immediate financial crisis by being able to offer small amounts of cash via the vouchers and cards. I'm conscious that we have a considerable sum remaining in the cost of living grant. I'm conscious of all the good work that's going on at Letham for All. I'm conscious that their new centre is on the verge of opening if it hasn't done so already, and I believe that distribution of this fund via the sum of money via Letham for All represents a very good use of the cost of living grant monies that we presently have available to the Perth Common Good Fund, and I would therefore recommend that we make that grant of £15,000. Councillor Bailey Hearn, you have a question.
Thank you. Before I start, I'm fully supportive of the application, but I have a question on how long this lasts, because they want £5,000 for utility vouchers, and even if you were to look at the £30 voucher, that helps roughly 166 people. The same with the Perth cards, and then I'm assuming, because they say in their write-up that it's estimated 1,000 people will benefit. So you're looking at 700 for the community fridges. To me, £15,000 is not going to last very long, and I just wonder what happens once they've got through that, and how long they think the £15,000 is going to last.
I agree. I did, like all of these things in terms of sort of, charitable assistance. No grant is going to last forever, and indeed the Perth Common Good Fund is not, unfortunately, perhaps able to assist with the ongoing running costs of enterprises, but they've asked for £15,000 of support, which will last them for a period. I'm assuming that is through the remainder of this winter and into the spring, and beyond that, I assume that Letham for All will be looking for other funding sources and may well return to the Common Good Fund in due course. But for me, if you like, the sadly, in a sense, but for us, the longer term viability is not a question that we can answer. But Jacob, do you want to come in on that?
They have indicated an end date of March 2025 on the application form. Yes. Yeah. So January 2024 to March 2025, the project start and end.
Are there any further questions? No. Can we then agree to make a grant of £15,000 to Letham for All? Agreed. Thank you very much. We now move on then to paper 6, which is the financial statement for so far this year 2023-24 and the budget for 2024-25. And I would ask Donald Coyne to introduce this paper. Thanks, Donald.
Okay, thank you, convener. This report seeks approval of the proposed budget for the Perth Common Good Fund for the financial year 24-25, and also asks the committee to note the draft budgets for the financial years 25-26 and 26-27. The report also provides for noting the details of the income and expenditure for the fund to the 30th of November 23 and the projected outturn for the current financial year. The proposed budget for 24-25 is largely unchanged from the current year, and the financial assistance budgets for St John's Kirk, Strathern Round Table and the Small and Capital Grants remain unchanged. And these provide a total budget of £147,000 for the year. Section 4.6 of the report provides the proposed budget movements from the current financial year to the next, as detailed in Appendix 1. So a budget of £62,000 has been allocated for the replacement of the Moncrief Island Causeway. This is currently an estimated cost and will be updated following receipt of tenders in April 2024. There's also a £10,000 increase to the budget for the contribution from the fund towards the Christmas light switch on event. And the cost of living budget will be allocated to the 24-25 cost of living budget line when the final underspend for the current year is known. So usual health warnings apply. For example, the budgets for the fund are prepared mainly using historic expenditure patterns and assessment of likely expenditure using current prices. So in turn, we have a budgeted deficit of 13,300 for 24-25. However, it's anticipated this can be recovered from budgeted surpluses in future years to ensure that the fund remains sustainable over the longer term. So turning to the current financial year, the year-end projections have been refined in line with the funding request we considered at this meeting. This results in circa £24,000 underspend across all financial assistance budget lines. This in turn results in an estimated surplus for the year of £16,000, and the projected fund balance at 31st of March 2024 is £1,961,000. So that's a quick sweep through the report, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Donald. Do members have questions? Donald, can I ask you to make a specific reference to the, I'm sorry if I missed it, did you make reference to the money set aside for maintenance and Moncrief Island?
Yeah, that's a £62,000 budget, convener. Yeah, that's for the replacement of the Moncrief Island Causeway in section 4.6. Thank
you very much. But I was hoping you'd make the point that you made to me earlier that whilst we're setting aside £62,000, there is still ongoing discussion as to whether we have a liability in this area and also whether the works will cost that full amount. Yeah, apologies. We're still deliberating the status of the golf course, and we may require the services of an archivist once again, which is one of Andrew Ferguson's options. In terms of the cost, we're hoping that there's quite a lump of optimum bias in there, so we're hoping that that's a worst case scenario. But once the tenders come in April 2024, we'll have a better idea. Thank you very much. And for my part, I'm content with the financial progress this year. I'm also content to see in the draft budget that for the year 2025-26, looking ahead, the revenue balance will be just shy of 2 million, which compared with the actuals in 2020-21 is about a £330,000 increase. And so I think we are adequately covering what I see as being our responsibility to maintain the capital value of the fund in something in line with inflation. And I think that we are on balance doing that. Are there any further questions or questions from members? Councillor McCall, Sheila.
Thank you, convener. My question really is on the legal fees. I noticed that we've had legal fees incurred since 2021-22, but nothing in the draft budget or going forward. So I'm just wondering why that is. And I have a second question, if I may.
Donald, do you want to take that first one first, and then Councillor McCall can come with the second? Yeah, that's fine. Councillor McCall, the legal fees of the work that Legal Services and Andrew Ferguson has undertaken with the review of the common good assets. We're hoping that the work is almost complete, and there's the only other additional work that's to be done is on the movable assets. So we think Andrew's time will be limited in that respect. So that's why there's no budget for 24-25. If the position does change, we'll obviously inform committee and allocate a budget to it.
Yeah, thank you.
And your second question?
It's really a point of clarification about the 20,000 per annum to Perth and Strathearn round table. I'm just wondering if you can remind me of what the arrangements are for some sort of feedback on what that money is spent on, or it seems a substantial amount.
That is the annual contribution we make to the firework display that they currently lay on the South Inch. Yep. Thanks. If there are no further questions, can we approve the financial statement and the budget for the next financial year? Agreed. Thank you very much. We now move to the private paper in respect of the proposed lease of the shop at 2 Northport, Perth. I see no members of the public or the press or anyone who shouldn't be here sitting in or listening in. So in that case, we will. Sorry. Okay, I'll wait till you give me the nod then, Magda.